हो गया ना? Thank you. Okay, Samarth and Aditya, you are able to see the screen that's shared, no? Development
Yes, ma'am.
page.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Fine. Last time, what did we do? Development. Let's do a recap. One week gone, so memory is not erased, no? Shouldn't be. Yes, Samarth, Aditya, what did we do last time? Yeah, first, what is development? Anything that is growing, progressing is development. Then, what else did we do? So, first is growing, grow, progress. Then, what else? Different people, different goals. Different people, different goals. Then, so just as you have different people, different goal, even where considering the country's development is concerned, you will consider various criteria. So for which income is one, where we spoke about per capita income. How do you calculate per capita income?
Average of all the salary of all people.
Yes. What is the example that we had done? Remember one?
5 people in one country.
Yes, 5 people in one country. Like that, we had taken 2 countries. What was the average of those?
10,000.
Correct. 10,000. Of both the countries, the average was 10,000. But what was the difference?
In one country,
A country have regular 10,000 rupees per person. In the B country, there are one having 48,000 and other having 500.
Correct. Very good. So there were 4. The second country, the first country, it was okay. Average of 10,000. Like somewhere it would have been 9,500. Somewhere it would have been 10,500. But on an average, everyone was getting the same. Country B, how was it? Where, what did someone say? 500, 500, 500, 500. So there were 4 people getting 500 and the other 1/5 person getting the remaining 48,000. So what did that show? What did that show? That showed a disparity. Disparity or what else? What does it mean? A disparity, unequal distribution. Unequal. Okay, so what does this show? That for a country's progress, it's not just per capita income, but the distribution of it has to be evenly distributed. So it shouldn't be like country B. Would you want to be a part of country B? You wouldn't. You
No,
would
ma'am.
want to be a part, right? You would want to be a part of a country where the distribution is even. Okay, then yes, income. Where we spoke about per capita income. Formula for per capita income is.
average of salary of people.
So what is the? How will you do it?
Sum of all salaries divided by number of people.
Number of the population. So total income divided by the population would give you the per capita income. Yes, and also one more thing that we had done. What was that? Remember the well, the dam? Yes. What did
Yes,
that
ma'am.
show? What did that show? Samar?
Conflicting goals.
Conflicting goals, but that dam example showed what?
Different
What
people,
mean-
different goals.
was what is development for one may be destruction for the other. So that was development for one may be destruction for the other. So that was the dam example that we spoke about. So in what way does it show development and destruction?
Destruction because the land of the people living there is taken away.
Correct. The land of the people living in that area before the dam was constructed has been taken away. So those people have been displaced from their houses, okay, or they have lost their source of livelihood also, because they might have been doing some kind of agriculture over there. Since the dam is built there, it means it would be in an area where there is plenty of abundant water supply, right? So which means they must be dependent on agriculture, and also obviously they might have been living in the same locality. So in that way, it's destruction. For disparity, what had we? Do you all remember the images?
Yeah.
How many were there? On the right hand side, there were two images that we had used. Not the building. No, that building and the slums was, what did that show, the building and the slum? That showed about what the developmental goals of a country like that should be. Where you have a building on one side and yes. There on one side you have a building and just below that you can see slums. So what does that show? What should be the developmental goals of a country like that? What should be the developmental goals? I'm asking what should be.
Make more buildings and provide them with facilities.
Provide the poor with facilities rather than increasing facilities for the already rich. Give them education, provide them jobs so that they are able to sustain a living by themselves. Now we come back to those two images that we were talking about. What did that show?
Some children were enjoying their snacks.
Yeah.
And others were sharing.
Yes. Some children there were two images. The lower one was of the two groups of children who were, there was one category of rich children from affluent families. They were having some kind of a party where each one had a plate of his own, plus they had a lot on the table laid in front of them. And on the other side, what was the other image? In contrast,
Eating in one plate.
yeah, the poor people, they were not even fed well, they didn't have enough, they didn't kept the food on a newspaper, such little bit of food to eat, so many of them sharing, and they didn't even have proper clothes to wear. So that showed disparity. And above that, there was one more image which showed disparity. What was that? Remember what it was? Yes. There was a man, there were two men. There was one man who was lanky, poor, bony, skinny man, and he is feeding a man who is from a wealthy family, who's rich and very well fed. So what does that show? That shows disparity. What else have we done? We spoke about those three cities: Haryana, Kerala. We didn't do? Okay. Which video I won't be able to see? This screen. What should I press this? Oh, but I won't be able to see them, no? They can't be interrupted. I can't see them when they speak. Let's try. I can actually put this one. No? Let it be on this side. What was this? What does this show? There's this man, he's thinking of so many things, income and so much more. So other than income, you need so many more things. It's not just money. You need family, security, you need friends, you need to learn, you need equality. And we did that example of the job. What was that?
One job provided more income and less security, and another provided less income and more security.
Exactly. One job provided more salary but less security, and the other provided a salary which is comparatively less, but then it was a secure job. So mostly everyone preferred the lower one with the higher security. So what does this show? That money is not everything. This we did, no? Yeah, this we did. This is what you were talking about, no? That building and stuff. This we did. Should I? Better? This one we didn't do. Okay. So this is income and other criteria. My bad lines. Okay. So for achieving development goals of people not only want better income, they also want non-material things like freedom, security, and respect of others. So what do people want? Income. Yes, they want. This is material. But what are the other things that they want?
Right.
Freedom, security, and respect. These are one of the things. There are many more. So you need freedom, security, and respect, etc. So these are abstract or non-material things. So for development of a nation, average income or per capita income is needed. Okay, now another aspect is when we are considering the development of, before that I'll ask you where your families are concerned. There are families are concerned. Where are most of the expenses centered towards? Two things. Your parents earn, right? Where are most of the expenses going? Okay. What else? No. Children. Okay, on children. So say on y'all, where are the expenses? Education. Correct. So one is education, and another important aspect is food. Food is a part of your health. They'll say, okay, go buy a cycle. Maybe if you need some gadget, they might not be so willing to buy. But then yes, if you want a cycle, they say, good, at least you'll go out and you'll exercise. Or there are parents spending on gyms and on good food, healthy food, even if it might be a little more at a premium rate. So there are two things, education and health. Okay, so where a country's development is concerned, other than income, these two are considered as the most important parameters. Okay, then you will have expenses going on, liabilities, paying your debts, or recreation, going out of town, okay, all those things. But the most important two criteria are education and health. See, your parents are sending you to schools, but they're also sending you here, so they are investing on you, right? So what is that for? So that you have a brighter future ahead and you make your career. So now here we take these three states into consideration: Haryana, Kerala, and Bihar. In Haryana, what is the per capita income? It is 1,62,000 and 34. Kerala it is 1,40,000, 190. Bihar it is 31,454. So if you were only to see this income criteria, which one would be the most developed and which one would be the least? Haryana would be the most developed, then Kerala, and then Bihar, right? But then is it so? There are other criteria which we have to consider. See there, if per capita income were to be used as the measure of development, Haryana will be considered the most developed and Bihar the least developed state. However, this is not true if we look at the other criteria. What are the other criteria that we have considered? Infant mortality rate per 1,000 live births. What is infant mortality rate?
The number of children at the age of 3
1. Age of 1, yeah.
died per
Yeah.
1,000.
Correct. But how many of them are able to survive till the age of 1 year? Okay, that also speaks of the health of the mother, the nutrition of the society as a whole. Okay, so again, this corresponds to health. Okay, infant mortality rate. Then literacy rate, obviously, that's education, and net attendance ratio per 1,000 persons. Secondary stage, age 14 and 15. The next screen will clarify things for you. It's the same thing. So in this table, the first column shows that in Kerala, out of 1,000 children born, 12 died before completing 1 year of age, but in Haryana, the proportion of children dying within 1 year of birth was 36. Yeah, so what are you able to see over here? Haryana. Okay, see Haryana. What is the infant mortality rate? 33. Kerala is the least. Bihar is 38. Literacy rate, Haryana is 82. Kerala is 94 and Bihar is 62. Net attendance ratio. Net attendance ratio means still in the secondary stage, that is still 14 or 15 children who are continuing with their education. Okay, because there are many who will do their primary, especially in rural areas. They'll go to primary school maybe till the 3rd or the 4th, and then they will drop out. Probably they don't have the facilities there, they have to go far away, or they are just not interested. There's no, there's nobody to push them to do that. So here net attendance ratio in Haryana it is 61, Kerala it is good, and Bihar it's 43. So had income been the only criteria, which was this, then all the parameters of Haryana would have been on the higher side, on the better side, but it's not so. So that's why this shows that income cannot be the only criteria for judging the development of a country. Now we come to public facilities. Public facilities. Money in your pocket cannot buy all the goods and services that you may need to live well. What does this mean? What does this relate to public facilities? Money can help you buy personal things that you want, but where personal public facilities are concerned, like this, what can you see? This, there are fumes coming out of the chimney, right? So if you are living in a community like that, can you ever evade this? Can you ever avoid? Will the fumes say that no, you are rich, so I won't come to you, and no, you're poor, so I'll go to you? Would it distinguish between the rich and the poor? It won't.
No, ma'am.
Yeah. So same with this, the other thing, like what happened where COVID was concerned. Was anyone spared? Did the virus say, oh, wait, you're rich, so I won't come to you. I'll go to this person who doesn't have so much money. No, that doesn't happen. So income by itself is not a completely adequate indicator of material goods and services that citizens are able to use. Okay. Yes, you might be able to avoid it to a certain extent. Like if you have pollution, you might stay indoors, you'll close the windows, you might put the AC. But what happens when you go out? How far can you avoid? Can you avoid breathing? What more can you do? Okay. And the COVID thing is like a good example. Who was spared from it? Was any rich person spared? Did it happen like that? No. Okay, so that means money in your pocket cannot buy all the goods and services that you may need to live well. This table, it's in your textbook, you can solve it, okay, later. This field rate, BMI. BMI stands for what? Body mass index. Do you have your textbooks? If you have it, it's on page 12 and 13. Is there in this? Why? But you did have 2 classes and that was. Any read it here. You all can go home and work it out. So one way to find out if we are properly nourished. Page 12 and 13. Got it? Activity 3. Summer textbook, huh? Textbook page 12 and 13. In this it is. What page number? Yeah, this table on the left is there in the resource book. Okay, that's page 193. Table 1.5. Okay, but we are doing this activity 3 right now, which is not there in this, no? It's there in your textbooks. If you have it, you open it. So, activity 3, the rest of you. One way to find out if we are properly nourished is to calculate what nutrition scientists call body mass index or BMI. It is easy to calculate. Let each student in the class find out his or her height, weight and height. Take the weight of each student in kilograms. So you calculate you can do this as a home assignment. So you check your weight in kgs. Then take the height by drawing up a scale and accurately measuring. Convert the height recorded in meters. So height you are going to need in meters. Divide the weight in kg by the square of the height. Okay. Divide divide the weight in kg by height square. Okay, and whatever answer you get, you might get some 15.2 or whatever, like it's given in this example. There are 2 pages at the end. See, somewhere towards the end of the book. I'll show you these quick. Yeah. See here. Here you have these on page 90 and 91. There are these 2 pages. One is, this is for girls. This side is the BMI for girls and this is for boys. Okay, and that is given as per your exact age. Like if you are 14 years and some months, so you calculate it accordingly, and these 3 categories are given. So whatever you get accordingly would be your BMI. In your cases, I think everyone's would be common. Mine would be high. Okay, so you all calculate at home. I won't calculate. Huh? No? Lucky, but could better to be on the lower side than on the higher side. That even if it is on the other side of the scale, that's also termed as malnutrition. But really ask me. So it's better if you're on that side of the scale than on the other side. It doesn't matter.
Suppose they कुछ खाता नहीं है क्या?
Huh?
they कुछ खाता नहीं है क्या?
So people are anyways going to say it. So it's okay. Later at least she's on the thinner side. I'm happy. Doesn't matter. Could be like that only. Tell me also how you're staying that way. Take some of mine for you. I'll give her some of mine. Okay. So this way you could calculate the BMI. Probably if you had a slimmer teacher, you wouldn't have been praised so much. So I value it more. Okay. So next is the Human Development Report. Once it is realized that even though the level of income is important, yet it is an inadequate measure. What is an inadequate measure? Income. The level of income is an inadequate measure of the level of development. We begin to think about other criterion. There could be a long list of such criterion, but then it would not be so useful. What we need is a small number of the most important things. Small number of the most important things. So health and education indicators here. These 2 indicators, health and education indicators, such as the ones we used in comparison of Kerala and Haryana, are among them. Over the past decade or so, health and education indicators have come to be widely used along with income as a measure of development. For instance, Human Development Report published by the UNDP compares countries based on the educational levels of people, their health status, per capita income. It would be the data. Okay, so here we spoke about BMI and health and education being important parameters other than income. And this sustainability. What is it? Sustainability. Sustainability means what to sustain? Why? Why are you tickling up? Why are you tickling up? Okay. So what is the meaning of sustain? To sustain. Again, she did. What? No, now it will happen. Now, even if she moves a little, no, I'll feel she's doing something. Huh? No, no, it's okay. Sit. Okay, so what do you mean by sustain? Kind of maintain. Like if you all are, say, you all study very hard, okay, this time, you all otherwise get, say, for example, you must be getting more also. But for example, you all get 80% in your exams. This time you said, मैं बहुत मेहनत करूँगा. I'll put in my best efforts. I'll study everything thoroughly. I won't do any kind of cheating where my studies is concerned. Okay, I'll put in my 100%. And you do that. And you get a 90%. कैसा लगेगा? How will you feel? See, thinking of it, she's having a smile on her face, right? You're going to feel good, right, about getting the 90%. Your parent, you'll feel totally like your morale will be boosted, 100% level of confidence. Also, your parents will praise you. अरे बहुत अच्छा किया, मैंने देखा बहुत मेहनत कर रहा था. After you get your marks, they'll say, huh? So you were working very hard and I'm very happy you scored well. They might tell their neighbors and relatives, "Isko pata hai itna well." That happens, no, with parents. So now you have elevated your level to getting a 90%. Now what you'll have to do next exam, you cannot afford to get 100 to, but at least you'll have to maintain. हाँ, 90 से कम लाया तो नहीं चलेगा. You used to get 80. See, she's so sad thinking about it. What had happened?
In the first term, I got 93%. नहीं, first term. कुछ भी.
Online था ना?
It was offline.
Offline. Where? Offline में था. So what? See, one thing, our competition has to be with ourselves. And I see that you people also know. You don't know how to appreciate. Now, if she's saying that I did well, I got a good score, you people are saying, yeah, online tha na. Then when she's saying offline tha, kya hoga? MCQ tha. Oh, what does that mean?
We don't like to appreciate our friends.
Huh?
We don't like to.
That's what. But if your friends appreciate you, you will be very happy, no? That you'll want to, you'll tell them, नहीं मेरे को appreciate मत कर, मैं नहीं करती हूँ किसी को. We all don't. हाँ, so what happened? You got
In the
a
second
93.
term, it dropped down to 85%.
हाँ.
From that was just like
ये online था. ये पक्का online था.
ये तो आज मेरे स्कूल में मैं बताती हूँ.
We'll make them give the same exam
Yes,
and see if they're getting 90. We'll give you.
I got 98.
Same exam you get?
Yes, ma'am, that must be
MCQ it was.
Yes, that's the year online होगा.
No, I'm doing the same thing. See, I'll tell you. Now, she might have got 98, she might have got 93, he might have got, not he, otherwise he'll feel that मेरे को बोल रहे हैं. Oh, you got? See, he got 99.9. There might be somebody else who might get, I might be studying and I might have got 80%, yeah. But compared to what I did earlier, I must have done well, no? So that's good. Your comparison has to be with yourself. You have to better yourself. You got a 93. You got an 8. You used to get?
I'm around.
See, around 70s she used to get, and she's got a 93. So that's good. She used to. Okay. So anyway, your one point apart from the chapter is that your competition has to be with yourself. You have to better yourself. Okay. So don't compare yourself with others. That's what I believe in. That's what I even tell my daughter. Because when you think about somebody else and getting marks as much as them or getting some percent, your level of stress, your pressure increases. And with a high level of stress, you cannot perform your best. So The only thing that should be in your mind is I have to do my best. Am I putting in my best? If the answer is yes, great going. If the answer is no, then fix it. क्या कमी रह गई थी? क्या नहीं किया मैंने? When did I avoid? You would know, na? Right? So let that not happen. Don't think, at least that's my belief. Don't think that I have to get 100% or I have to get as much as that student. I have to do my best and genuinely put in your best efforts. Don't need to stress yourself. Okay. So she got a 93. Next, you got an 80. See. So from 70s, if she would have got 85, she would have been happy. But now that same 85, she was not happy with because she had got a 93 earlier. So what she had to do, she had to would have needed to sustain herself at that percentage. Or even parents, mummy ne bola na right? और पहले अगर 93 नहीं आया तो that same 85 में she would have said,
Yes,
I know that happens. So that's to sustain. So now coming back to sustainability of development, you can see that globe on the top. We do not inherit the earth. Where those children? We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. Borrow. Can I borrow your pencil? Means what? I'm borrowing it. Take it back. Thank you. Can I take your pencil? See, now he might not even be willing to give it to me because he'll feel that she's not going to give it back to me. So there's a difference between borrowing and taking. If I take it, I don't give it back, that's taking. Borrowing means you're lending it to me, I have to give it back to you. So where the earth is concerned, we are borrowing it from our future generations. We cannot finish it. We are not taking it from them. We are borrowing it. So we take it. What would I have done? I would have taken his pencil. I would have used it and I would have given it back to him. Correct? If I use it in such a way that he gets only this black part, would that be fair? Right? I would have exploited and overutilized the resource. That wouldn't have been fair, correct? So that's what we have to do even with our environment. We have borrowed it from them. We cannot exploit it. We cannot deplete it. We cannot overutilize it. Okay. So that's sustainability of development. See the definition. Sustainable development can be defined as development that meets the needs of the present. Point number 1 is needs of present. Second point is without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. Without compromising on future. Correct? So I would use it from him without diminishing his ability to use it. Okay. It is helpful to fulfill the needs of the human beings without harming the ability of the future generation. So we use it at the same time, don't deplete it in a way that the future find it difficult to use it. Some renewable resources like groundwater will take a long time to be replenished. So we should use that resource in finite quantity. Finite means limited. See this here. What is this? This you'll write down at the end. This is this sustainable development goals. Okay, you all could write this down at the end. We'll go to the next. Groundwater in India. We were talking about exhaustion of natural resources, depletion of natural resources. Recent evidence suggests that the groundwater is under serious threat of overuse in many parts of the country. About 300 districts have reported a water level decline of over 4 meters during the past 20 years. Nearly 1/3 of the country is overusing their groundwater reserves. How much? As much as 1/3 of the country is overusing our groundwater reserves. In another 25 years, 60% of the country would be doing the same if the present way of using this resource continues. Groundwater overuse is particularly found in the agriculturally prosperous regions of Punjab and Western UP. Why? Because they do more of agriculture over there, so there's more of a requirement of water. Also, hard rock plateau areas of central and South India, some coastal areas, and rapidly growing urban settlements. Now, why is groundwater overused? Why is groundwater overused? Yes, to meet the high needs. Like for example, you all must be knowing about the green revolution. So you must be knowing. I'll finish. You all must be knowing about the green revolution, right? So because of those HYV seeds that are used, the high yielding variety, those also need more of water. Okay. Plus, we might not be having alternative sources of water, so that's why there is overuse and exploitation. Then this one also is there in your books. Okay, the figures may be different, but don't worry about that. Okay, the concept is going to be the same. Now this one I want you all to write down. Just write it quickly. 17.